Good morning, this is Neil Spate at Thurrock Nub News, down at the Cherrywood campsite, which is by the Thurrock Scouts main centre for camping and outdoor activities and all sorts of things. And we're gonna go and have a look inside the main building, which I'll switch from looking at my ugly mug, if I can work out how to do this on this high-angle camera. There we go. I've got the District Scout Commissioner Graham Monk and some of his colleagues, some of the senior people, and we're going to go and have a look in this building in a minute. And then, wonder of wonders, I think, going to go and take a kayak ride out across the lake that has now been founded, and we'll have a look at the bales that we believe are causing a significant, there is a significant danger of contamination. I'm awaiting a statement from the Environment Agency, who promised me they'd have something to say about this flooding, because we believe it's caused by the sluice gates at the Margate being not working. But I'm expecting a statement. So after we've had a look at this, had a chat with Graham, gone out on the lake, hopefully if I come back, we'll then go down to Purfleet. So there'll be 2 or 3 reports to watch this morning. Graham, good morning. And it is a beautiful morning. What a shame that we're here for this. Just for anybody who isn't aware, can you just run through what's happened in the last 48 hours or so?
So in the last 48 hours, the Mardyke, as everyone can see, has overflowed normally onto its floodplains. But because the sluice gates at Purfleet have failed, should have opened at low tide, because they've failed and not worked, this is now what we're left with. Instead of a campsite, we've now got a water activities centre.
Well, there's always a positive, I suppose. Yeah, shall we go and have a look inside? And they kindly lent me some wellies, so
this way?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, the path. Right.
All right. I'll follow. Have you got the key? Who's got the key? Or is it open?
You follow.
Right. There you go. Look. Never let it be said you're not in the middle of the action with Nub News. Good heavens. And what Graham didn't mention was the fact that the supporters of the local scout movement have actually just spent an awful lot of time and a considerable amount of money renovating this building, which we now see is underwater. You can see the toilets, the walls have all been painted, and clearly this has done damage to the building. It's just such a shame, really. Oh.
Yeah. No, that was all done for the social distancing when it was over.
Yeah. How deep is it? As deep as it's actually been, or it was up to the shore? It's actually it'll have got into the fabric of the walls and everything. Yeah. Oh dear. It's actually very picturesque, and it would be a lovely morning to walk along the Mardyke, but I'm afraid you can't do that at the moment. That could be my mode of transport over there, so we'll we find the path, yeah.
Find the path.
Yeah.
Just to the right of the sign. Go to that green column and walk towards the blue bollards, keeping the bollards on your left. That's it, that's the path. Walk front across towards the blue bollard, right?
Okay.
There you go. I mean, you've been involved in scouting, and you've been down here for a long. I mean, have you? How has this sort of thing happened before, or is this unprecedented?
This happened once before, back in 2000, and on that occasion, it was eventually found that it was because the sluice gates had been reversed the wrong way, so all the water came in from the Thames, and we had people camping here at the time, and we did have kayaks on the field at that stage. But we've had nothing like this since. Yes, we've had water come on the field, but it's never got this far up, and it's never got above the. Yeah. You saw the depth.
Yes,
when you were walking in.
And it's not as if we've had rain of, I think I keep using this phrase, biblical proportions. It's nothing particularly out of the ordinary. It's just something, as in Stamford the other day, where we had fairly extensive flooding in parts of the town that people who've lived there for 40 years couldn't remember ever happened. So something fundamentally has changed in Stamford. Something has changed here. This is backed up all the way to Bulford. and really the finger must point at the gates. But as I say, we still await the statement from from the Environment Agency. So when that comes in, we shall see what's what. But I mean, for those of you who've got youngsters involved in scouting, you probably drop your kids off here for a weekend in the campsite and know what a great place and a great facility is. And of course, it will come back, assuming, if we can assume, that the bales that are full of contaminated waste, I'm told there's medical waste in there. It's been there for many, many years. It's been a running sore for the local scout group. A few years ago, there was a planning application that would have meant that the bales would have been removed at no cost. That planning application was refused. I remember sitting in a planning meeting to cover it. And since then, there have been considerable pressure brought to bear on Thurrock Council, which has the responsibility for these huge bales, which hopefully we're going to see once I get into this kayak and go paddling. And then I know that people are saying, you know, if they have been breached, just think about it. And there is medical waste in there, syringes, swabs, and whatever that's been sat for a long time. And that material is now spread along the Mardyke Valley. We're actually talking of something of a fairly major significance. Hopefully that will not happen. We don't want to be, you know, looking at the worst case scenario, but
well, the council have pictures of the bales and the enforcement notice on the walls in the council offices.
Yeah.
So they can't claim there's no enforcement notice. The enforcement notice date ran out a year ago, yet still no action.
Well,
what's the point of an enforcement notice if you don't enforce it?
It's a common thing. If you follow Thurrock Nub News, you will find that the lack of enforcement from Thurrock Council is a common theme. We've reported on it on a number of instances, and as I say, I remember, you know, going back 4 or 5 years. We're sat with yourself. I remember you speaking to the planning committee about these bales and saying that, you know, if you do not do something, one day something is going to happen. God forbid it's today, but if it is, then, and we have got contaminated waste across the Mardyke Valley, then we've got a serious problem. Hopefully, I keep saying hopefully, we don't know. So I'm going to just come off this live broadcast for a minute, get myself tucked into this here boat, and we'll go and have a paddle and see what we can see. So I should be back in a few minutes, hopefully, and we'll have a look at the bales and we'll have a look at the scene from the middle of the lake. Never let it be said we don't entertain you on Thurrock Nub News, as I'm about to be launched and we'll go and see what we can see. So I'm going to hand the camera over for a minute, and you may well find this end up on You Being Framed in a couple of months, but we'll make some money and we'll give it to the scouts if it does happen. Gents, can you just hang on, one of you hang on to this and just point it. That's all you need to do.
It's running, is it?
It's running, it's live, yes.
Oh, it's live.
It's live.
This is it. Let's see if it gets wet.
Well, back live and in the middle of the field, or the lake as it's now become, and oh, a bit wobbly. You can see the bales that are there through the hedge that are the cause for concern, and if those start to leak and it gets into this water, then there is going to be a major problem. But hopefully this bit of publicity will help change the situation, and Thurrock Council will actually do what it's supposed to do and enforce on this and get this dangerous material removed. I think it looks pretty solid, I'll be fair, so we'll wait and see. Anyway, that's a view from the lake. This is a view from the middle of the campsite. I'm now going to shut the camera off and try and get back to dry land. This is Neil Spate, Thurrock Nub News, and as you can see, we have an open gate down here at Purfleet. There are a couple of teams of workers from the Environment Agency who are on site. Earlier this morning, as the tide was going down, these gates were still shut, but they've now opened them. We're still awaiting a statement from the agency. They promised it for 9:30. I've just had a message say it will be with us shortly. It's clearly not 100% working, because if you can see in the sluice gate, there is a large metal plate that comes down, that should actually also be open. But clearly there's a significant volume of water now flooding away. And what was noticeable when we were just up at the Scout Centre was that in the time that we were there, the water levels were certainly dropping. They probably dropped an inch from where we wandered into the centre, which was flooded. So hopefully, given it's low tide now, we're going to get certainly quite a while of allowing all this water that's been trapped behind this sluice gate to cascade down into the Thames. So this is definitely good news down here, and more Environment Agency guys have just arrived, so probably if they can get the actual big steel sheet up, then even more water will escape. So this is good news, and as you can see the amount of the depth that the tide will come up to, so this water is going to be flowing for quite a while, and it's going to clear a lot of that flood water all the way back up to Bulford. So this is good news, and we will bring you the statement from the Environment Agency when we get it. Good morning again, this is Neil Spate, Thurrock Nub News. It's 11 o'clock on Sunday the 17th. We've had a rather adventurous tour around West Thurrock this morning, and been looking at the impact of the flooding and some of the dangers, and also I think I've been had over by the local scouts who got me out in a kayak, and I'm sure we're chuckling because they said it's the only way I could see what I'm about to show you, and by just crossing the field and having a walk I can actually show you what I'm going to show you, which is quite disturbing. I'm down the side of the Mardyke River. As you can see, it is still flooded. I've just come here from down at the Purfleet sluice gate, where I was speaking to the engineers who on site confirmed that they managed to get the gates open this morning, and the side sluice gate, part of which has been damaged and has been damaged for some time. The main sluice gate itself is dysfunctional. There's a huge steel plate. The gearing mechanism that lifts it up and down is broken. It looks like they're going to need a complete new set of cogs and whatever inside a fairly significant engineering project, but the guys are going to be on site there, and wherever they can get the flow going out, they will get it going out, even though exit is limited. It is still a lot of water going out there if you've just seen the film I took. But anyway, that's not the point of where I am now. Earlier on I was down at the campsite for the Thurrock Scouts at Cherrywood, and the concerns were raised by the District Scout Commissioner Graham Monk about a number of waste bales, the thousands of waste bales he tells me, that he believes are in danger of getting into the water supply, and that they contain some fairly nasty looking waste. Well, I've now actually come down to the side, as you can see, where the floodwaters were, and it really isn't very far away from this big piles of waste, and round the back it's even closer, but I can't actually get to that. These bags of waste have been here for a number of years now. Thurrock Council issued an enforcement order on this and said that they would get the owners to take it away, or they would take it away and charge the owners. I think that was 5 years ago. As Graham said, the enforcement notice has been in place. Nobody's doing anything about it. They're saying that this is inert waste and not dangerous. Well, I'm not sure whether it's inert or whatever, and we'll have a look around what's in it. I wouldn't want this going in the water supply, that is a fact, and you've got a fairly unpleasant looking pair of shears there or whatever. I've no idea what it is, but as we wander around you'll see all this stuff now scattered. It's whether it's dangerous or not, well, it's certainly dangerous to wildlife. It would certainly be very messy if some of this got into the river waterways, and it is an absolute blot on the local landscape, and it is very visible from the main road, which is why I'm sure the scout leaders were laughing when they sent me out in the canoe, but never mind, all good fun. But as you can see, this is sat in Thurrock countryside, and let's just have a look. That's milk bottles, I believe. I can't see exactly what the rubbish is. It's not pleasant anyway, and you can see how much of it there is. This is banked up right against where the floodwater's edge is, and you can see the actual amount of rubbish is quite amazing. And it's at the very worst, it's somebody dumping commercial waste in the countryside and getting away with it. it shouldn't be here. And as we say, just the other side of this pile that I'm looking at you now is the scout campsite where I was on my little kayak earlier on. But I'm not sure how many people are aware that this is here. I certainly know Thurrock Council know that it's there, and as Graham says, there are enforcement notices that are just unfulfilled. So it's becoming a very common theme in Thurrock, and quite often people say exactly where is it. So if you look in the distance, if it helps you locate exactly where we are, if you're not quite sure, there, if I can focus on it, is the Circus Tavern, so it gives you a clue exactly where we are. And as I say, I just think it's rather unpleasant, and it could have all been taken away some time ago. It goes on and on and on. It goes round the corner, you can see over there. But I've made the point, you can see it's here. I'll be on to Thurrock Council, as I know Graham Monk will be on to Thurrock Council, and possibly we'll get another valedictory message from Council Leader Rob Gledhill saying it's the council what done it when this finally does get cleared away. I'm not bothered who takes the credit, we just need to get rid of this and get rid of it soon. This is Neil Spate, Thurrock Nub News, here in Purfleet.